Diplomat Daniel Brooks stepped onto the marble floor of the unified hall with steady steps. He had prepared for months to attend the peace treaty signing between Earth and the Draven Empire. Flags from both sides hung in quiet union, and soft light gleamed off polished surfaces. Daniel's heart pounded with hope that this moment could stop the long war that had cost so many lives. He remembered the day he first learned of the Draven people. As a child, he had heard stories of the tall, pale-skinned beings with eyes like opals and voices that could soothe storms. The idea that humans and Draven might one day live as friends had once seemed impossible. Now he stood among leaders of both worlds, feeling respect and fear mix inside him. The treaty began with speeches. Earth's president spoke of human resilience. The Draven High Chancellor spoke of compassion beyond stars. Daniel watched envoys from distant colonies and ships that bore the scars of battle. For a moment he believed peace was within reach. Then the hall shook, alarms blared. A hidden bomb exploded near the center, and blazing debris tore through the crowd. Diplomats screamed and dove for cover. Daniel felt a searing heat and smelled smoke. A second blast rocked the hall, sending pillars crashing down. Chaos broke the fragile calm. Dazed and bleeding, Daniel crawled beneath an overturned table. He saw bodies scattered like broken statues. Some were Draven, some human, some mixed. He heard a soft cry. A small shape moved behind a shattered wall. Panel, it was a child. Dusty and torn robes hung from a frail frame. Eyes wide with terror, the child trembled. Daniel felt something in his chest tighten. He could not leave the child alone. He crawled toward the wreckage and lifted a heavy beam. With effort, he cleared the rubble. The child took a cautious step back, frightened by the sudden gesture. "You are safe," Daniel whispered. Though his voice shook, he offered his hand. The child did not respond but looked into Daniel's kind eyes. He reached out and brushed Daniel's fingertips. The bond was small, but it held hope. Daniel spotted a blood trail leading away from the center. He supported the child under one arm and used the other to pull himself along. Draven and human survivors lay injured along the path. Daniel paused to help a wounded envoy before moving on. He cradled the child close to protect him. Earth security forces arrived, weapons raised, searching for the culprits. Daniel waved them aside. "Help me find survivors," he said. They nodded and joined the rescue. Together they guided the child and others through smoke and flame toward the exit. Outside, sirens wailed and ships circled overhead. Medical teams set up triage tents. The child whimpered as dust fell from the sky. Daniel brushed the debris from his hair and wrapped an emergency blanket around the child. In the chaos of destruction, the child's small hand slipped into Daniel's. The diplomat realized that more than a treaty was at stake. He had found a life that needed care. The orphans. Trust was a fragile gift, one that could spark new hope. Daniel looked at the child's pale skin that shimmered in the emergency lights. This was not a Draven soldier or envoy. This was a survivor. He carried no weapon. He held only a story of loss and a desire to live. The crowd of survivors swayed under floodlights. Draven envoys with surgical masks helped human doctors. An uneasy truce formed amid the rubble. But for Daniel, the moment was personal. He knelt and lifted the child to his shoulder. "I will protect you," he said softly. The child leaned against his neck, closing his eyes. In that quiet gesture, Daniel felt the weight of his duty shift. He was no longer only a diplomat. He was a guardian. As helicopters landed to bring more supplies and security forces secured the area, Daniel carried the child to a nearby medical tent. He passed the child to a nurse and watched as she checked his breathing and heart rate. The nurse glanced up and nodded at Daniel. "He is stable," she said. Relief washed over him. He stepped outside into the cool evening air. A van and human officials surveyed the wreckage. They spoke in hushed tones, anger and grief lining their faces. Daniel cleared his throat and approached them. "This child deserves a future," he said. Draven Chancellor Yunova turned toward him, her opal eyes narrowed. She saw the child's handprint smudged on Daniel's shoulder. Diplomat Brooks continued, "I found him alone. He did nothing wrong. He deserves protection under the treaty we signed today. His voice was quiet but firm. The Chancellor studied him, then glanced at the child's small form half hidden by a nurse. After a long pause, she nodded. Very well. He may stay in your care, but he remains Draven by birth. We will decide his fate. Her tone was guarded but not hostile. Daniel bowed his head. Thank you. I will keep him safe until you call. He felt the weight of responsibility settle inside him like steel. As night fell, Daniel walked back to the holding area. He passed rows of injured and stunned survivors, all searching for hope in the ruins. He pushed thoughts of politics aside and focused on the child. Inside the tent, the child stirred. Daniel crouched beside him. He offered a small cup of water. The child drank slowly, then looked at Daniel with wide, trusting eyes. In that moment, the diplomat made a promise to himself. Beyond his duty to nations, he would protect this orphaned alien. He would teach him about Earth. He would help him find belonging. The bomb had tried to destroy peace. Instead, it had given Daniel a new purpose. Under the cold stars of Earth's sky, a human diplomat and an alien child began a journey together. One that would test boundaries and build a bridge between worlds. And so, part one ended with the orphan safe in human care, the treaty in tatters, and a fragile bond that dared to hope. Daniel Brooks stood at the airport gate with a gentle smile. He held the small hand of Ziri, the Draven child, who stared at the bright lights and tall machines. It was Ziri's first day on Earth beyond the treaty site. The world felt strange and new to him. Daniel knelt to meet Ziri's wide eyes. We are home, he said softly. Ziri blinked and let Daniel lift him into his arms. The soft blanket around the child had tiny patterns that glowed faintly in the dim light. Outside, Lisa Carter waited by the car. She wrapped her arms around Daniel's waist, then she kneeled before Ziri. He reached out and touched her cheek, curious about the soft warmth of a human mother. I am Lisa, she said, and this is our home. She guided Ziri toward the car. Daniel placed him gently in the back seat and buckled him in. Ziri's head leaned against the window, watching the airport lights. On the drive to their house, Liz explained simple things. This is our city, Washington. We live in a small neighborhood. You will meet friends soon. Ziri did not answer but nodded his head. He whispered a soft chirr in Draven like a bird song. Daniel glanced at Ziri through the rear-view mirror. He seems tired, he said. Lisa smiled. It has been a long day. We can rest, then start tomorrow. At their front door, the house was modest. A red brick facade, white door, and a small porch with a wooden bench. Ziri's eyes widened at the sight. Flowers in a pot? He reached out to touch a bright red bloom. It felt smooth and soft. Inside, the living room was warm with soft light. Lisa guided Ziri to a small couch. She offered him a simple sandwich. He sniffed the bread, then took a small bite. His face relaxed as he tried the taste of peanut butter and jelly. We call this snack an Earth sandwich, Daniel said. Ziri looked at him, then smiled a small curve of his lips. Lisa watched in relief. He is hungry. That is good. Daniel nodded. Food helps him adjust. He patted Ziri's shoulder. After the snack, Lisa showed Ziri to his room. A small bed with soft sheets, a nightlight shaped like a star. Ziri sat on the edge of the bed and ran his fingertips along the blanket's pattern. It made him feel safe. This is your room, Lisa said. You can rest here. Ziri looked at the glow from the nightlight. It reminded him of his homeworld's twin moons. He closed his eyes and whispered a Draven lullaby. The tune filled the room with a gentle hum. Daniel and Lisa exchanged looks. They stepped outside and closed the door quietly. He remembers songs of home, Lisa said. Daniel nodded. We will learn them. Then we can teach him Earth songs too. Lisa smiled at the thought of their child singing in 2 languages. At breakfast the next morning, Ziri sat at the kitchen table. Lisa served scrambled eggs and fruit. Ziri watched his human father and mother with curiosity. He picked up a slice of banana and tasted it. His eyes lit up at the sweet flavor. While Ziri ate, Daniel and Lisa explained simple rules. No running indoors, be polite, say please and thank you. Ziri repeated the words after them. His voice was soft but clear. "Thank you," Ziri said, Lisa's eyes filled with tears of joy. "He learns fast," Daniel smiled. "He has seen much. He can learn Earthways too." After breakfast, Daniel drove Ziri to a small school for special learners. The school had a bright yard and low walls. Children played with balls and drew with chalk. Ziri's eyes widened at the colors. Miss Hoover, the teacher, greeted them. She had kind eyes and a calm smile. "Welcome, Ziri," she said. Daniel knelt beside Ziri. "This is your school. We will help you learn." Ziri took a small step forward. He looked at the yard, then at the children. One child ran over. A boy named Max. He wore a blue shirt and carried a toy drone. "Hi," Max said. "Want to play?" Ziri tilted his head. Max held out the drone. "It flies? Watch." He set it on the ground and pressed a button. The drone buzzed and rose. I watched the drone glow above him. Small lights blinked on its wings. He reached out and pressed a button on the drone side. It responded and changed color, blinking soft green. Children gasped. "Double quo. Wow," Miss Hoover said. "Ziri, are you okay?" He nodded and whispered the Draven. "Word for joy." Miss Hoover guided him inside. "Let us learn your name," she said. Ziri spoke his name, clear and soft, in the empty room. Inside, students sat at small tables. Each table had letters and pictures. Ms. Hoover wrote the alphabet on the board. "These are letters of Earth language," she said. Ci watched as she traced each letter. Then she handed him a paper and a pencil. He hesitated, then drew a glowing spiral like Draven art he had seen on his homeworld. Children gasped at the beauty. Max leaned forward. "That is cool," Miss Hoover smiled. "We will learn together." At lunch, Daniel and Lisa brought a packed meal. Ziri ate slowly, using a fork for the first time. Lisa showed him how to hold it. Ziri learned quickly. Soon he was eating with ease. As days passed, Ziri learned simple words: mother, father, school, friend. He met more children and teachers. He showed them a Draven game where bioluminescent orbs floated in a bowl of water. Children laughed as they watched the orbs glow. Daniel took Ziri to the park on weekends. He taught him how to kick a ball. Ziri tried and missed it first. He frowned, but Daniel encouraged him. "Try again." On the next kick, the ball rolled straight. Ziri's face brightened. Lisa took Ziri to music classes. She played a soft tune on a keyboard. Ziri closed his eyes and hummed along in Draven. When he opened his mouth, pale lights shimmered around his lips. The teacher gasped, "Amazing!" Ziri blushed, hiding his lips with a small hand. At home, the family ate dinner together. Ziri sat between Daniel and Lisa. He told them in broken English about his day. He spoke of games, songs, and colors. His words were simple but full of wonder. That night, Ziri wrote on paper. He wrote the letters he learned. He drew Earth and Draven symbols side by side. In the glow of his nightlight, he whispered, "Home." "Daniel, read him a bedtime story." It was about a traveler who found a new world. Ziri listened, then whispered a Draven version of the story. Lisa and Daniel held him close, amazed by his memory. As weeks passed, Ziri grew stronger. He learned more Earthways, but at night he still hummed Draven lullabies. Daniel found him one night watching his nightlight. He sat beside him and hummed in Draven. Their voices blended, creating a calm harmony. In those moments, the family felt whole. Ziri was part of both worlds. Daniel held him close and said, "You belong here." Ziri closed his eyes and smiled. But beyond their home, news spread of the Diplomat's new ward. Some people cheered. Some watched with suspicion. Yet inside the Brooks home, love grew quietly in simple words and gentle acts. Here, an orphaned alien found a new family, and a human family found a new purpose. Ziri woke to the sound of rain tapping softly on the window. He sat up and watched the drops slide down the glass. The rhythm reminded him of Draven melodies that drifted in his memory. He closed his eyes and hummed a faint tune. In the next room, Daniel stirred and walked to Ziri's door. "Good morning," Daniel said. He knelt on the floor. "Would you like breakfast?" Ziri nodded. Daniel opened the door. A gentle light filled the hallway. Lisa stood at the end with 2 bowls of warm soup. I followed Daniel into the kitchen. He held the bowl carefully, feeling the warmth spread through his fingers. The soup was simple rice porridge with vegetables. Lisa explained, "It will warm you on rainy days." Ziri smiled and took a small spoonful. The taste was new but comforting. While eating, Daniel asked quietly, "How do you feel about Earth weather?" Ziri thought. "Rain sings," he said in Draven. Daniel looked curious. "You like it?" Ziri nodded and waved his hand to show a small glowing pattern on his skin. Lisa gasped softly at the pale light. "He can show his feelings in light," Daniel said. Lisa smiled. "That is beautiful." They finished breakfast and cleaned up together. Later, Daniel set up a small table in the living room. He placed an old human book on it. The cover read The Lost Explorer. Inside were pictures of travelers and new lands. Lisa sat beside Ziri and opened the book. "This is a story of someone who found new friends on a strange world," she said. Ziri leaned forward. The pictures showed a traveler meeting aliens, sharing food, and dancing under alien stars. Ziri's eyes glowed with interest. Lisa read the first lines. Ziri listened, his head tilted. When they reached a word he did not know, they paused. Daniel wrote the word on a small board. Ziri repeated the letters slowly, EXPLORER. He traced them with his finger in the air. Lisa drew the shape of an explorer's hat. Ziri laughed softly at the funny picture. "Good job," Lisa said. Ziri beamed with pride. In the afternoon, Daniel and Lisa took Ziri to a local festival. It was a celebration of Earth culture. Colorful tents lined the streets. Smells of food stalls and music filled the air. Ziri's eyes widened at the bright banners. They stopped at a tent with strange machines that made fluffy white treats. Lisa explained it was cotton candy. Ziri watched the cones spin and catch the fluffy threads. He touched the soft candy and brought it to his mouth. It melted with sweet sugar. "Taste of cloud," Ziri whispered. Daniel laughed. "That is a good way to say it." They moved to a stage where dancers moved in circles. A drum beat filled the air. Lisa took Ziri's hand and swayed gently with him. Zir watched the dancers and mirrored their steps. His movements were slow at first, but then he moved like drifting light. The crowd clapped. Daniel and Lisa cheered. Ziri laughed as pale lights shimmered around his arms. For a moment he forgot his fear. He was simply a child dancing among new friends. At home, Ziri practiced his Earth words. He wrote them on paper: festival, dance, sugar, friend. He drew small pictures beside each word. The paper looked alive with color and light. During dinner, Ziri surprised his parents. He spoke in clear English, "I am happy." Daniel and Lisa held hands and smiled. After dinner, Ziri led his parents to his room. He opened a small box. Inside were Draven tokens, carved shells that glowed. He placed them on his desk. Each token had a story. He pointed to one and whispered its name in Draven. Lisa asked, "What does it mean?" Ziri closed his eyes and touched the token. Glowing lines traced across his skin. He said slowly in English, "Hope." Daniel looked at the shell. He saw delicate ridges and a soft blue glow. "Hope," Lisa repeated. She placed her hand over her heart. I smiled. He took the token and pressed it into Lisa's hand. The shell felt cool but warm with memory. Lisa hugged Ziri. He hugged her back, resting his head on her shoulder. In the days that followed, Ziri and Lisa created a small ritual. Each night, Lisa sang an Earth lullaby and Ziri sang a Draven song. Their voices blended like wind and water. Daniel watched, moved by the harmony. Word of Ziri's light song spread among neighbors. One evening, a family from next door invited Ziri to share his song. They gathered in the backyard around a small fire pit. Chairs formed a circle. I sat in Daniel's lap. He looked at the faces around him. With a shy nod, he sang. First a Draven verse, soft and high. Then Lisa joined with an Earth tune, low and steady. The neighbors listened in silence. When the song ended, someone clapped, then another. Soon the whole circle cheered. Ziri's pale lights danced on the faces in the firelight. He bowed his head and smiled. After the festival, Ziri's confidence grew. He joined neighborhood games and helped neighbors carry groceries. Children taught him new Earth games. Ziri taught them Draven drawing on the sidewalk with chalk. One day, Daniel and Lisa took Ziri to the local museum. They explored exhibits of Earth history. Ziri touched a model of an ancient ship and said in English, "Journey." Daniel nodded. Proudly. Inside the museum's Hall of Worlds, Ziri saw an exhibit of alien planets. He studied the pictures and whispered Draven names. A guide watched and asked questions. Ziri answered politely in English. The galaxy is full of stories. Daniel and Lisa glowed with pride. Back at home, Ziri wrote a letter. He practiced English, writing, "Dear Draven Chancellor, I am safe. Thank you." He drew a small star beside his words. Lisa helped him mail it with care. That night, Ziri lay in bed, thinking of both worlds. He held the letter close. Draven lullabies drifted in his mind, and earth winds whispered through the window. He closed his eyes and whispered, "I am home." In the quiet dark, pale lights shimmered across his skin, connecting Earth and the Draven world. In that gentle glow, Ziri found his heart. After weeks of calm, tension began to stir. News outlets reported on Ziri's arrival in human society. Some called him a symbol of hope. Others warned of hidden dangers. Daniel Brooks read the articles with concern. Lisa saw worry in his eyes. One morning, Daniel was called to a meeting at the State Department. He entered a large room filled with serious faces. Senator Hall and other officials sat at a long table. A Draven envoy, Corin, stood by the window. Senator Hall spoke first. Diplomat. Brooks, the people ask why we care for Ziri. Is this child safe? What if he holds secrets? His voice was firm but curious. Daniel took a deep breath. Ziri is a child. He has no part in politics. He needs care like any other orphan. I ask for your trust. He looked at Corin. Envoy Corin stepped forward. His pale skin glowed faintly under the lights. The Draven Empire will claim any survivors of the treaty site, he said, but we respect your care so far. We suggest joint guardianship until our leaders decide. His voice was calm and measured. Daniel nodded. Joint guardianship can work if we focus on the child's well-being. He needs stability, not politics. Senator Hall leaned back. We will discuss this matter carefully, he said. For now, we will allow you to continue care under supervision. The meeting ended with uneasy agreement. Outside, Corin spoke quietly. Chancellor Yenova awaits a formal report. Ziri's fate is delicate. Daniel bowed his head. I understand. I will do my part. Back home, Daniel and Lisa talked late into the night. They worried about Ziri's future. Lisa held Ziri's small hand. He trusts us. We must protect that trust. Daniel agreed. As days passed, Draven envoys visited the Brooks home. They came with polite smiles but watchful eyes. Ziri greeted them in simple English and Draven. He spoke quietly, offering a small glow of light from his skin. The envoys smiled politely and left. Meanwhile, protesters gathered near the Brooks neighborhood. Signs read, "Send him home" and "Alien threat." Daniel watched the crowds on his newsfeed. Lisa held Ziri close. Is he scared? She asked. Ziri looked. Out the window, he saw distant faces shouting. He pressed his hand to the glass, hoping no harm would come. Lisa knelt beside him. We are here, she said. We will keep you safe. One afternoon, Corin returned with Chancellor Yenova. She was tall and proud, her opal eyes soft with concern. Ziri greeted her with a shy bow. Yenova smiled. Ziri, she said in Draven. You have a family here. You learn well. I see kindness. In their hearts, she turned to Daniel and Lisa. We thank you, but the Empire must decide his future. Her words were gentle but firm. Daniel bowed. We understand. When you decide, we will respect it. Yeneva nodded. Give us time. For now, he stays. She and Corin left. That night, Ziri could not sleep. He remembered the treaty site, the fear, and the kindness of two worlds. He whispered Draven prayers under his breath. Lisa heard him and told. Daniel, he needs comfort. Daniel brought Ziri to his room. He sat beside his bed. "You are safe here," he said softly. He sang a simple Earth lullaby. Ziri closed his eyes and glowed faintly in rhythm with the song. The next day, news broke of a new bill in Congress. The bill proposed special protections for alien children. Supporters said it would ensure care and rights. Opponents said it was too risky. Daniel gave testimony before a small committee. Lisa watched from behind the glass. Ziri stayed home with Miss Hoover, the teacher. He drew pictures of his family on a small tablet, adding words, love, home, peace, during the hearing. Senator Hall questioned Daniel. "If the Empire calls for Ziri back, will you comply?" Daniel answered, "I will follow the treaty and ensure Ziri's safety. If return is required, we will prepare him gently. But we ask for time to help him understand." His words earned nods. Back home, Lisa played a Draven melody on her phone. Ziri hummed along. The music eased his heart. He ran his fingers over his tokens. In the evening, a drone hovered above the Brooks home. Ziri watched from the window as lights blinked. Lisa and Daniel joined him. "A message," Lisa said. She tapped the screen. Chancellor Yeneva's face appeared in a video. Yeneva spoke. "After reflection, the Draven Council agrees to let Ziri remain with the Brooks family until he comes of age. He will hold dual status, Draven by birth, Earth by choice. This decision will guide future relations. Peace grows when compassion leads." Ziri's eyes widened. Light spread softly across his skin. Lisa and Daniel held each other, relief and joy mixing in their hearts. In the days that followed, protesters and critics fell silent. News praised the decision as a step toward unity. Children in neighborhood schools learned about Ziri and his dual world. At home, Ziri sat at the kitchen table, drawing two circles side by side. One was Earth, with blue and green colors. The other was Draven, with pale violet and glowing lines. He wrote beneath, "One home, two hearts. Daniel and Lisa." Read the words and smiled. They knew challenges would come, but they felt stronger for each other and for Ziri. As night fell, the family sat together in the living room. Lisa played both Earth lullabies and Draven songs. Ziri hummed softly, his pale lights glowing. Daniel placed his hand on Ziri's head. "You are part of both worlds," he said. Ziri smiled and whispered, "I am home." Their voices blended like light and music, carrying hope for two worlds. A week after the Chancellor's decision, a quiet dread grew around the Brooks home. Unseen eyes watched the family. Extremist voices on social media warned of alien spies. Late at night, Daniel heard a faint scrape outside his window. He rose and peered into the dark yard. Shadows moved near the garden fence. Lisa slept beside Ziri. She gently held his hand. Ziri dreamed of Draven fields and human gardens. Lisa smiled until a sudden noise made her sit up. The front door rattled. Footsteps pounded on the porch. Daniel grabbed a flashlight and slipped on his shoes. He tapped Lisa's shoulder. "Someone is here," he whispered. Lisa covered Ziri with the blanket. She kissed his forehead and said, "We will be okay. I promise." Ziri stirred and looked into her eyes. He nodded, too sleepy to be afraid. Daniel moved to the window and peered through the blinds. He saw masked figures around the porch. They held metal tools and makeshift weapons. Their leader raised a voice muffled by a scarf. "Open the door, Brooks. Hand over the alien." Their words were cold. Daniel backed away and turned off the lights. He pressed a finger to his lips. Lisa understood. She gathered blankets and placed them around Ziri. She gently carried him to a closet under the stairs. "This way," she whispered. Ziri blinked in the dim light. Lisa wrapped the last blanket around him. She found a small vent in the back wall. It led to a crawlspace beneath the floor. Outside, the attackers kicked the door, wood splintered. Lisa and Ziri crawled through the low tunnel. Cold air brushed their faces. In the living room, Daniel heard wood crack and debris fall. He moved to the hallway. He found a hidden phone in his desk drawer and dialed Earth Security. "Security Team 1, respond to 12 Maple Street," he said. His voice shook but remained calm. He described the attackers. Above them, the attackers entered the house. They moved through the dark hall, metal flashed. Daniel knew he had seconds before. They reached the closet. He sprinted to the stairs and slammed a heavy crate against the closet door. Wood groaned, but held. Lisa and Ziri listened to the attackers' boots. Ziri's breathing grew fast. Lisa hugged him close and whispered Draven words of comfort. Ziri's pale skin glowed softly in response. Daniel crept away and turned on one porch light. The attackers paused outside. Daniel pressed his lips together and met their eyes through the window. "Stay away," he said quietly. One attacker raised a crowbar and struck the window. Glass shattered. Inside, Daniel ducked and ran to the side door. He locked it and found an old shotgun in a cabinet. He loaded it with shells he kept for emergencies. At that moment, sirens wailed down the street. Red and blue lights flashed through broken glass. Attackers glanced at each other in panic. Daniel held the shotgun and edged toward the front window. He caught sight of a young attacker raising a stick. Blood rushed in his ears. He aimed and fired a warning shot. The thunderous blast echoed through the house. Wood splintered and the attackers ducked. Security forces formed in the yard. They called out for the attackers to surrender. More gunshots rang out as Security Team 2 moved to flank the house. Outside the tunnel, Lisa and Ziri stayed silent. Ziri's glow faded and rose in time with his breath. From the hallway, Daniel shouted, "Lisa, get Ziri and go to the back garden. The security team will find you." He led attackers' attention to the front. Lisa crawled through the vent and ran into the yard. She held Ziri tight and called for security. Heavy boots ran across the dewy grass. A guard found them near a radio antenna. He scooped Ziri into his arms and wrapped Lisa in a thick coat. "Are you both safe?" the guard asked. Lisa nodded and pointed at the house. "Daniel is still inside." Ziri clung to her shoulder, eyes wide. Behind them, Daniel opened the front door. He held the shotgun loosely by his side. Security guards surrounded him. Corin arrived with Draven envoys and Earth officials. Yeneva followed with her calm presence. She saw Ziri in the arms of the guard. "The child is safe," Daniel said. His voice was firm but full of relief. Yeneva approached and placed a hand on Ziri's head. "You are safe now," she said in Dra Van. Security forces arrested the attackers. Among them was a former officer who had lost family in the old war. In the garden, Lisa led Ziri to a small table set by officials. They offered warm blankets and cups of hot broth. I sipped the broth and closed his eyes as warmth spread inside him. He relaxed in Lisa's arms. Yen even knelt beside them. She spoke in soft English. "The Empire condemns these acts." "Your family showed courage?" She turned to Daniel. "Your home is protected by Draven and Earth law." Daniel nodded. "We stand together." He looked at Lisa and Ziri, then back at Yen. An official reporter wrote notes. Cameras captured the moment. Ziri's pale lights glowed with small pulses. After the arrests, Corin spoke with Senator Hall by phone. He reported that the bill for alien child protection had passed with stronger support. Daniel, Lisa, and Ziri returned indoors with the envoys. Neighbors gathered at the fence, clapping and waving. Inside, Daniel checked Ziri's blanket for rips. Lisa comforted Ziri with a small song. Ziri's glow pulsed brighter with each note. He looked at his parents and whispered, "Thank you." Lisa kissed his forehead. "You are safe now." Daniel sat beside them and said, "We will keep you safe, always." Lisa placed her hand over her heart, and Draven envoys placed their hand alongside hers, creating a circle of trust. Zir learned that night that fear could be replaced with hope. He felt the strong arms of two families, two worlds, united in a single promise. Outside, the moon glowed pale in the sky. Inside, Ziri's lights shimmered against the walls. In the quiet refuge of love and courage, they had defended not just a child, but the idea of unity itself. The sun rose on the first anniversary of the peace treaty. Daniel Brooks stood at the podium in the Grand Hall, flanked by Earth and Draven leaders. Beside him, Lisa held Ziri's hand. Ziri wore a simple white shirt and blue pants. His pale skin glowed softly in the bright lights. Daniel spoke into the microphone. His voice was steady. 1 year ago, this hall saw hope and tragedy. We lost many lives and we gained a new life. Ziri, an orphan child of the Draven Empire, found a home on Earth. Today, we celebrate his journey and our shared future. Applause filled the hall. Ziri's glow pulsed in time with the claps. He looked at the faces around him, human children waving small flags, Draven envoys with proud eyes, families from both worlds mingling. Chancellor Yeneva rose and joined Daniel. In your care, she said, Ziri has taught us compassion. He has shown that peace can grow in the hearts of children and in the bonds between worlds. Her voice was gentle but carried the weight of the Draven Empire. Zir hesitated and then stepped forward. He looked at the audience. In clear English he said, "Thank you for my home. Thank you for my family." His pale lights shimmered across his skin. Silence spread for a heartbeat, then thunderous applause and cheers. Children held up pictures of Ziri's two worlds. A bridge painted between them. After the ceremony, a garden party began outside. Tables held foods from Earth and Draven kitchens. Ziri tasted sweet Draven pastries filled with glowing fruit and Earth fruit tarts with crumbly crusts. He smiled as flavors mixed on his tongue. Lisa watched him with pride. He loves both foods, she said softly. Daniel nodded. He is part of both worlds. Neighbors and guests mingled. A Draven musician played a soft tune on an alien instrument. Ziri danced with human and Draven children. His lights pulsed with joy. Daniel noticed a small group of students gathered by a fountain. They held Ziri's drawings from school, colored with both Earth and Draven themes. The children asked Ziri questions about his homeworld. He answered simply, "It has purple skies and silver oceans." The children gasped in wonder. The day felt calm until a sudden shout broke through. A news reporter pushed through the crowd, microphone in hand. "Ziri, what would you say to those who still fear aliens?" she asked. I paused. Lisa squeezed his hand. Daniel nodded in encouragement. Ziri took a breath and said, "Fear can end with friendship. When we learn each other's songs and stories, we see one family under the stars." His glow brightened with each word. The reporter smiled and lowered her microphone. The crowd stood silently, moved by the child's words. As evening fell, lanterns glowed around the garden. Ziri sat with Lisa and Daniel on a low bench. He placed his hand on a small globe and Draven token side by side. He whispered, "Two homes, one heart." Lisa kissed his cheek. Daniel wrapped an arm around them both. A gentle breeze carried the music of Draven and Earth songs. Later that night, as the party ended, Daniel and Lisa tucked Ziri into bed. He lay in the familiar sheets, nightlight glowing like a small star. "Today was beautiful," Lisa said. Double quotes. "Yes," Ziri replied. "Peace and family." His lights shimmered softly. Daniel sat beside the bed. "You have done great, Ziri. You have shown that caring can heal wounds." Ziri looked up. "I will help others," he said. "I will teach two worlds to listen." His words held promise. Daniel smiled. "And we will help you." He stood and turned off the hall light, leaving the night light on. In the quiet room, Ziri dreamed of new adventures. He saw Draven fields under violet skies and Earth forests under blue skies. He saw children from both worlds playing together. Outside, the moon cast a pale glow on the Brooks home. Inside, Ziri's lights pulsed softly, a beacon of hope. In the days that followed, Ziri began to help in small ways. He visited schools to read stories about his journey. He joined a youth council where human and Draven youths shared ideas. He helped design a peace garden with both Earth and Draven plants. During one project, he planted a Draven flower beside a human rose. He whispered, "Grow together." The garden bloomed in colors that mirrored his two worlds. Zir watched the flowers sway in wind. He thought of all he had learned, Earth words, Draven songs, simple acts of kindness. He smiled, knowing his path lay in building bridges, not walls, and so his story continued beyond the 6 parts. For a child born in tragedy, adopted in hope, Ziri lived as a living symbol of unity. His life became the story told under Earth and Draven stars, a story of love, courage, and shared destiny.